how do you build aha or surprise, or how do you build and captivate your audience? We're going to be talking about the stages of aha. If you are a writer, if you're a creative, if you build stories, how do you build suspense? How do you build intensity into your scenes and incidents? And then how do you build your story so that it has this kind of collective and gathered entire fabric that is in fact compelling content? Because in the end, your job is to create best-selling content. That's the big idea we have here. Now, here are some suggestions for how you build intensity, how you build suspense. The first thing I will say is real writers build suspense and pack into every sentence, certainly into every paragraph. And each small chapter, no matter how tiny or large it is in fact a capsule unto itself. It needs to be packed full of suspense. So here are some suggestions and some scaffolds that you can use. One, observation. Many times a scene starts with a simple observation. A character, or perhaps the narrator, or perhaps the point of view will be just to show something that's interesting, just to show something that happened that is out of the ordinary. That's the first thing that you need to be able to craft, is this idea of observation. There needs to be this kind of nonchalance about it sometimes, because I like the element of surprise in my stories. The second thing is difficulty. The character or the setting, it needs to move either rapidly or at a pace that you as the writer think necessary, from sort of uncomfortable to an immeasurable degree of real stickiness, to where that the character simply has no choice. They cannot get out. And this is the difference between sliding into satin sheets and attempting to cross a thick briar patch that's filled with stinging scorpions barefooted. That real writer knows how to create those barbs and those stings and those patches that are really, really difficult and inescapable, meaning that our characters have to plow through them. Impasse. I like to be able to create scenes where the characters have impasse, meaning there's a point where there has to be some kind of action. They can't go backward, they can't go forward, they can't go sideways, they can't poof themselves out of it. There's an impasse. They have to deal with the setting that they're dropped into. And then internal and external resources. This is when the real storytellers arrive, because it is when you place your characters in settings that are of unimaginable duress. That's when you as the writer get to create and fashion powers that awaken and quicken, and resources that arrive that are heretofore outside of their knowledge base or outside of their reach. I love that as a writer. I love to be able to do that. So we're giving you kind of a formulaic approach to how to build intensity: observation, difficulty, impasse, and then internal and external resources, and then resolve, meaning that the character simply has to deal with what is placed in front of them and where they find themselves. And this resolve, this sense of internal grit, this determination by the character that it is their job to manage this setting. That's a really important piece to come to as you begin to build your intensity scale. So you start with an observation, you create difficulties that are sticky, then you create impasses where the character cannot not deal with it, and then you create internal and external resources that give them the capacity to manage, and then the resolve where the character decides that this is theirs to solve. And then the other side. I love to be able to create these, and I love working with authors and creatives. If you want to talk to me, leave me a message in the comments below, or simply go to stevebonenberger.com, stevebonenberger.com. I'm Steve Bonenberger. This is Writers and Creatives Travel Far.